I have never been here before, so I'm not exactly sure where here is. But there is a sign that says Camino de Meco, 6.8 kilometers. And I just came up this road. It's kind of gnarly. But it certainly wasn't bad. I was talking about the new Bucklows budget air fork that I installed. It seems to be working really well. Right now it has about 110 PSI in it, which is a reasonable pressure for me, as I've been experimenting between 100 and 150 PSI and have settled on this. Now, if you can see it in the fork, there's a red O-ring, and right below that is kind of shiny black, and that's where the travel's been bouncing around the most. The red O-ring was the most travel, and where it's all dusty obviously hasn't been used, and that's off of a rather bumpy road with 110 PSI set for the softest adjustment. I've also been getting my mileage out of this suspension dropper seat post, and I'll talk more about that. That turned out to be a good investment. I'll be riding with the camera on the helmet because this is a little crazy here. Yeah, last night I finished installing the fork, and by the time I got done and putting all my tools away and basically getting everything done that I needed done in the house, it was 10 o'clock, but I wanted to get out. It was a beautiful evening, and I wanted to get out and test the fork so that when I went out today I wouldn't have to goof with it. Well, goof with it too much. I was half right, because learning what air pressure works best is taking a little time. Like the suspension dropper seat post, that was a bit of a learning curve, but now I have it dialed in, and it works marvelously. In fact, I just don't know how I ever did without one. For touring, just general riding, the dropper seat post didn't seem to be very important, but what I didn't consider is getting on and off of the bike, traffic situations, and in general having a lower profile in particularly rough situations. The dropper seat post offers that. I think that one with suspension like this is the only way to go. Now, like I mentioned, I looked at the PNW, Pacific Northwest Coast, and I was going to buy it. I actually had it in the cart, shopping cart. I was ready to buy it, and then when I went to get the lever, the control lever, they were sold out. So I said, hold on, I'm not going to buy the seat post and not have the control lever that I want. That doesn't seem to make sense. So I started looking around, and that's when I learned that XLC also makes a suspension dropper seat post. This one cost me €122 with the shift lever, and the PNW was, I think it was $125 plus shipping, plus $50 for the shift lever, plus import tariffs. So it would have cost me another $100. This one was in Germany, so I didn't have to pay any import tariffs or anything like that. And I just simply ordered it, and a few days it magically appeared at my door. Now, I had the XLC, and I have actually a couple XLC parallelogram spring suspension seat posts, and I think they're very good. Way better than the Cane Creek, and I would say better than the Shock Stop Redshift Sports Shock Stop suspension seat post, simply because I did buy one of those and it won't fit the SMP saddle. The tilt on the seat post won't accommodate the rails, leaving the seat at a funny angle. Redshift was very cool about it, and took, they refunded my money, no problems, but I would have liked to have had it for my gravel bike, just because it's a nice one. It's more elegant looking. At any rate, as far as elegant looking, this XLC dropper suspension seat post and the PNW Coast suspension dropper seat post look almost the same. From a couple feet away, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. As far as function goes, well, without using the Coast, I couldn't really tell you, but I can say what the reviews read, and that is the Coast tends to ride rather hard. People that have one say that it's a very firm ride. Now, that may be a good thing if you want to avoid pedal bounce and you're on relatively smooth turf and you're just wanting to absorb that occasional pothole that can damage your lower back. And that's exactly what that will do. This one is a little, well, it took me a while to dial it in, but it's more absorbent from what I can read. I have made it as soft as possible without having any pedal bounce. I get about about 30 millimeters of travel. Now, you can get a lot more travel out of it, but there's a but. The but is it'll be too soft, and what happens is it begins to compress. Oh, this is nasty. Climbing up this was actually not hard. The soil, this earth, is actually feels soft, but occasionally a rock would spin off and smack into the bike. It's also a very good test for this Bucklow's 32 millimeter stanchion, 120 millimeter travel fork. Now, I may have mentioned that this bicycle takes a standard 44 millimeter headset, which means I can install a different exterior cup headset and put on a tapered fork. Now, this is a straight fork. And that's fine. I mean, 1 1/8 straight fork works fine. I don't have any problems with it. But I think the tapered fork with the 1.5 inch, it might be a little more robust. It might feel a little better under certain circumstances. But for the type of touring I do for this kind of riding, I don't think you'll be able to tell the difference between a tapered fork and a straight fork. And another thing is the quick release wheel. If I did go to a tapered fork, which is the next logical step, I'll go with a through axle. You know what? I think I want to go that way. Yeah. Well, these farm roads are great. You can get lost, and no matter what happens, you can't get too lost. So like I say, the next logical thing will be tapered head tube, fork with through axles, and that would be an upgrade. I've been riding quick release wheels about 55 years, I'm not sure. I've been riding a bicycle since I was 7, but I'm not sure what the first year I got quick release were. So something very close to 60 years on a bicycle. and I've never had a wheel fall off. If I was doing tricks, jumps, and some of the downhill enduro and that kind of neat stuff that we see on YouTube, through axles would make a lot of sense. You would just want as robust a setup as possible. Judging from what I see now, that road in the beginning of this video would have taken one into Villanueva, which is a village to the left there. Very nice town. This is Castilla-La Mancha, which is just the next state over from Madrid, but we're right on the border. So I think at this moment we're in Castilla-La Mancha. I think in 2 minutes we'll be in Madrid again. I definitely noticed that one of the big differences with this air fork is that it actuates more than the Suntour spring fork. The Suntour spring tended to kind of bend a little bit, wobble around to absorb shock, and then compressed when you made a hit. This fork tends to compress more. So I see it actuating when I don't have a lot of time to be looking at it, but I can feel it, and when I do have a chance to look at it, I can see it actuating. I was on a very rough cobblestone piece earlier, and I had an opportunity to watch it. And you could see it moving in and out ever so quickly. Now I have the return set pretty slow. I think slowly. So it doesn't bounce. It takes a hit and then it comes back. I mean, it comes back quickly, but not like a spring. It has nice dampening. The Suntour had good dampening too, but it was a piece of rubber that was crammed into the spring, to the return spring, and it was fixed. The dampening with an air fork is infinitely adjustable. Those guys are awesome. So now I have the suspension seat post all the way up, and it feels so different. On the dirt road, I had it down maybe, well, probably 30, 40 millimeters. Now that gives me more confidence in that environment. And I never had that with the standard suspension seat post. I know I can ride right over this, but it gives me the creeps. Now these little bumps, I can feel the suspension seat post doing its job, and it really does. I'd almost like it a little softer, but getting it dialed in is a real pain because it's a very small volume, very high pressure cylinder, and getting it exactly right is a pain in the butt. So I'll say it's close enough. The air fork is a lot bigger volume, and so dialing that in is a lot easier because when you remove the filler tube from the pump, even if it leaks a little bit, that little bit doesn't signify and won't change the operation of the fork nearly as much as it does the seat tube or the seat post. This is a very cheap fork, so the fact that it works so well makes me really happy. And I can only imagine if this one is good and a big improvement over the Suntour, what a $500 or $600 fork must feel like. Or would it be a waste of money for touring? I've been trying to justify my purchases as to what will I get, what for my money will I get a return? And I'll say with the seat post, definitely worth every penny. And so far with these bucklows, I'll say so far worth every penny. Gotta go. Stop. Oh no, tell me.